New introduction music. I like it.
Yeah.
Hey, everyone. Welcome to the Decentralized Masters podcast, your go to source for everything in decentralized finance. I'm Tristan, and I'm here today with my co host, John. We're here to guide you through the ever changing world of DeFi, one strategy at a time. Every week, right here on the Decentralized Masters podcast, we go live at 2 p.m. Eastern Time to bring you the latest insights, updates, and tools to help you in the DeFi space. So, John, good day today.
It is, man. Very, very surprising day. Not a day that I was expecting too much. I wouldn't say I'm 100% surprised because we were talking about these last couple of weeks. Like as soon as we had that breakout with that inverse head and shoulders, I was like, I do not want to get too optimistic yet, but like usually when patterns like this happen, it's a very strong pattern, especially after we see a lot of selling pressure and then we see that inverse head and shoulders pattern forming in Bitcoin, forming in the NASDAQ. I was like, this is a very unique, not only pattern, but also situation, right? Like rarely have I ever seen where inverse head and shoulders patterns usually happens and doesn't break through fully, especially after a lot of negativity in the space. I mean, we've literally been selling off since mid to late December, going on to the beginning of the year. It's been nothing but selling, nothing but selling, nothing but selling. So once we get those kind of patterns, like I said, I haven't really come across many times where that pattern doesn't fully break out and has this upward momentum. So I wouldn't say I'm fully surprised, but I am surprised that Bitcoin is at $101,000. I will say that. I won't say that I 100% knew that. I didn't think this breakout was going to happen way too quickly. How do you feel, man?
I'm on the same page because like you could go look at the last podcast and I think we're like, we got like a 50-50. We go down a little bit first and then we're like, maybe it's 50-50 that we do, kind of stick around this area for a little while before breaking above 100K. And so I thought the resistance at 100K would have been, a lot stronger. Like I thought the mental, as you would say, the mental resistance of having 100K would have been stronger. But it wasn't. We seem to glide through it like butter.
Yeah, 100%. Welcome in, Teresa. Good to see you here today, as always. Yeah, 100K is definitely a psychological level, and I'm actually going to start sharing my chart here so you guys are not just staring at us. So let's go ahead and start sharing my screen right here, just so we could go ahead and see this green all across the board. Of course, this is the monthly, but just so you guys can go ahead and see how quick things change in the space very, very fast, right? And we've been talking about this these last couple of weeks. Actually, these last couple of weeks, I've also been deleveraging my position, meaning or off-ramping, if you want to really call it. I don't know what terminology you would really use to this, but I was mostly on stable coins. Like I was stablecoin heavy for the last couple months, like almost going on for 6 months plus. I've been heavy on stable coins, and I'm a high risk kind of guy, right? So I was very, very, very concerned about the market, to be completely honest with all of you. I was very concerned about the market, and I thought we were very, very close to also losing this bull run, right? Because of how things were looking in the market. But I always kept that reminder to the back of my head that one, we always need to wait for confirmation. Two, as well, the situation that we're in crypto is a very unique situation that we've ever been before, right? I think there's a lot of very positive things, but also the correction we saw was a healthy correction. It was an over dramatic one, and it happened way too fast. But welcome to the space that we're in. And it's not just crypto, stocks also got affected. So there has been a lot of volatility, but overall, this is what we usually have this tendency to see in this space, where one day we're super negative, the next day we're super positive, and the narrative changes that fast, right? So things are looking very, very positive. I've actually been buying the dip pretty aggressively these last couple of weeks. I actually bought even more on a few other tokens. Mostly I loaded up on a lot of these meme coins. I added even more of a aggressive position. I'm not really going to talk too much about which ones, just because I do not want to promote meme coins too much. But all coins all across the board are also showing some very, very strong upward momentum. And we talked about this on Let's Talk Crypto. And there's a lot of very clear signs. But now I think, in my opinion, we'll look into the charts a little bit more. I think the confirmation is in that the bottom was already in the last couple of weeks. And then unless anything dramatic happens, then we will see those changes. But what are your thoughts right now, man, Tristan? Like, this is crazy. It's almost like very mentally almost impossible to believe. If you
I know. Yeah, like I said, I wasn't expecting this to happen so quickly. I was going to look because we had the Fed meeting yesterday, and it was a bit of a dud. Like everyone kind of knew that we weren't going to get rate cuts. So I wasn't expecting a jump on that. But apparently we did. And I'm glad we did. And you can see kind of in that crypto bubbles right there that Jon had up, is that we do have a bit of a return of an AI narrative there. You see virtual up 300%. You see FET up almost 100%. Tau up 100%. So those three are all big names in AI. And actually
Fartcoin. Apparently Fartcoin is an AI token. That's what CoinMarketCap says, man. If you go to CoinMarketCap, Fartcoin shows up. So apparently Fartcoin is an AI token. I don't know.
I may have left that one out on purpose. Whoopsies. But yeah, it looks like we got a bit of an AI narrative. I was talking about this in my live sessions in our private community. I've been talking about it for about a month. I had some of our clients kind of move in that direction, and so far it has been turning very well for them. So I'm happy about that.
Yeah. Welcome in, Russ. Good day, everyone. It's a great way. I think we're going to finish off the week very strong. The reason why I'm very excited with what we're seeing is just really due to the fact that my portfolio is still down quite a bit. So it's not like it's like crazy has changed. I have been buying the dip. I'm like slowly coming back up to above break even on a lot of my positions. So it's definitely not a portfolio thing for me, but it's more of the fact that now we're seeing a little bit more green in the market, right? When we see green in the market, there's more things to talk about. There's more exciting things to talk about. More things get done, and also the optimism is back on the table, right? For me personally, with my experience in these markets, I don't let these markets emotionally control me anymore like I used to. Prior years ago, when the market was down, I'd be sad, it'd be terrible. The market's up, I'm super happy. And like, as you see with the market, like this is super volatile. So I'm definitely a lot more excited with what we're seeing now because of a lot of the positive news. Mentally, I still feel the same. I wouldn't really say that I'm happier because the market's up. I'm definitely excited because now we have more things to talk about. And a lot of more of you guys show up here on stream, which is also very fun to talk to all of you guys right here. We see Chad, bring on the real goods. Chad is here. See, so when the market's doing good, streams also do very, very well, which makes it very fun and entertaining to be here with all of you guys. So that's what I look forward when it comes to a lot of this momentum going up. And also, I think it also gives everyone that believe in the market, because I think we've been losing a lot of hope these last couple of months. That it definitely has been getting to a lot of us, right? But we were talking about this. I know Tristan made a presentation about AI, I think literally last week. And I've always been really against AI. And even last week, I even said that. Like literally, when I was agreeing to it, it turned out that the same day, Tristan was making a presentation. So what I look for is always patterns, and I start to look into that momentum. So I want all of you guys, and we're start looking into a little bit into the charts and start actually looking a little bit more deeper into this. But there were signs these last couple of weeks as to one of the main reasons why I was kind of getting a little bit more aggressive in my positions. And it's good to see that breakout happen. And that's what gets me excited. But mentally, Tristan, how have you been feeling about the market? Like, what do you say you're in the same position where, like, back in the day when you started, you were a little bit more, your emotions were a little bit more in control into the market as to now to what we're seeing?
Oh yeah, back when I was I may or may not have started trading a little earlier than I'm allowed to in my country. Uh, so in high school, there was days where I'd be just like absolutely mopey, and then there's days I was like very ecstatic. I have such a large position in at least when it comes to stocks. So I have a large position in things that are very conservative, very, very boring. Even in my crypto portfolio, I still have, even at this exact moment, I have a larger allocation to stable coins. Like my favorite, my favorite coin besides Bitcoin, USDY. I love the good old bond yield. Nice and boring, but that keeps me grounded, and that keeps me emotionally kind of flat when it comes to business. What gets me really excited though is when I get good results from my customers, and that's what gets me really excited. And the market, that's when we're in a good market, that's what allows for that.
Yeah, 100%. I definitely agree with you. Also, talking about the traditional finance and the boring markets, stocks have also been doing very, very well. So I'm glad I picked up on some call options on those crypto miners that I was talking about with you guys, Riot, Mara. We've actually talked about this on Let's Talk Crypto, and I'll go a little bit more deeply into it. But remember how we talked a little bit more about how Coinbase, how analysts were warning about Coinbase not hitting its earnings, and alongside with other crypto companies such as I believe it was Mara, which is also a Bitcoin mining company. And I mentioned, I don't know, this seems a little bullish to me. Like I'm going to go ahead and start loading up. Like usually when I start seeing articles like this, that's usually my buy signal, right? So my call options on Mara are doing very well. And a lot of my positions that I got into these crypto mining companies and the stock market too as well, doing pretty well, right? So this is just a reminder to not always just go based on what you're seeing in the news. It's going to ultimately come down into one, what you believe in, and two, what you understand. But even with that being said, this article is basically more pushing towards a little bit more fear into how Coinbase has been seeing a decline into retail spending coming in, like retail buying in more crypto assets. And that was drying out, which they were expecting for Q1 earnings to be lower than expected. So now look at how the market's doing, right? So I'm sure that could probably go ahead and change for the next quarter as well. But what are your thoughts about this, Tristan? Before I get going with crypto bubbles, but what are your thoughts on articles like this? Any suggestions you would go ahead and give out to everyone?
Yeah, articles like this, I find a lot of them they'll just create the most blunt headline as possible to get the views. This is how CoinDesk, Cointelegraph, and basically every media company makes their dollars. Get as many eyes on their content as possible. Can't blame them for that. That's what they do. But knowing what they do is an important step in being able to, I guess I'd say, understand where we are in the cycle. When these articles come up, you got to wonder, okay, maybe we're near the bottom actually if they're being so negative. And it's ironic but true. And even to speak to Coinbase more generally, their earnings have been fine. They're not like they didn't really miss. They're not doing bad. But if you pull up a chart of Coinbase right now, so Coinbase stock, you will see that we were hitting like lows of the lows, although it was performing like in the earnings really well. As you can see,
Yeah.
we're kind of bouncing back now, like John was saying with that. You can see that inverse head and shoulders pattern forming there. But like even during these, even like what I'm saying is the fundamentals of Coinbase didn't change. They are actually improving, and Coinbase also makes money on the downside. Coinbase is making money on volatility. So whether the market is ripping upwards or tanking downwards, Coinbase is making money because that's where their bread and butter is. They make money on the transactions. So there's transactions on the way up and on the way down.
Yeah, exactly. And that's one of the biggest things why for me, I actually bought a little bit of Coinbase stock myself. I was mostly focusing And I know this is a crypto related channel, but a lot of this, because of the way the markets move, there's a huge correlation between it. And you could also have that exposure to cryptocurrencies in traditional finance if that is something you feel a little bit more familiar with and you understand. And also still have that exposure, whether that's with your 401k, Roth IRA, whatever kind of investment portfolio you have set up there for you in the traditional markets. You could also take advantage of this technology that now we're seeing in the space with similar stocks and move very, very similar to Bitcoin. So with Coinbase too, myself, I actually bought a little bit more. I ended up loading up mostly on a lot of the tech sector related stocks myself as well these last couple of weeks. I wish I would have thrown in more like usual, but it's also that discipline you want to build within yourself, right? If you tell yourself you're not going to touch that money until X day, or you're only going to put this amount, I would suggest try to build that discipline and stay consistent with it, because that's also going to help you later down in your journey when you're selling or taking profits. Because if you guys remember, when we saw a little bit of green in the market, this was back at around, I believe, March. I mentioned that my goal was I'm not going to be buying until mid-April. And that's exactly where I started actually buying. I might have actually bought a little bit a week before that or halfway through that. But I really started getting aggressively after mid-April. And so sticking to your plan, even when you're seeing things going in a direction to the upside direction, you have to go ahead and start building that discipline, because something as simple as deploying capital and telling yourself, I'm going to buy this token when this happens, that builds not only that confidence, but that discipline. So when the time the market comes to take profits, it's a lot easier for you mentally. Because I think the hardest thing that we could go ahead and agree in when it comes to what we're doing is taking profits, because we get a little bit too emotionally involved with, one, our feelings, and then two, with the stock, the cryptocurrency, the technology. But at the end of the day, they relatively almost move the same, right? It doesn't really matter so much about the technology. It's more about the narrative, about the hype, about what the people want. And there's trends that go for that, right? So I definitely do agree with you, man, on that. I know you actually put me onto the Coinbase stock. So I remember you mentioned the Coinbase stock, and I was like, I'm going to look into that. But yeah, like inverse head and shoulders pattern is also forming. Hopefully we can see that breakout on Coinbase, and that is definitely good. But right now, Bitcoin is actually leading the market, surprisingly, something we haven't seen in a long time. So if Bitcoin continues to lead, then that means that we could definitely go ahead and see more upward momentum on the stock market as well. But yeah, overall market is doing very, very positive. I do see we have quite a few comments right here. Let's go ahead and read those. Russ says,
I'll cover this. Russ, I'll cover my DeFi platforms later in this podcast, so stick around.
Do either of you buy or trade on a DeFi platform? If so, which ones? Yes, 100%. We'll share those in shortly. And then Russ, also, is it okay to install Ledger Live to our cell phone only for monitoring, nothing else? Personally, I would recommend yes. If you have a pretty good portfolio, pretty decent sized portfolio, and you get a lot of text messages where you have your number public out there, I would recommend possibly getting a second device that no one has your phone number to, or maybe might not be connected to a phone data or any of that, or phone service if you want to call it, and then have your ledger on there. As long as you're not able to actually make any transactions with your ledger you can make any transactions on your Ledger Live without your ledger with your phone. I'm not sure if that made any sense. But what I'm basically saying is that if you're planning on having Ledger Live on your phone, just make sure it's only the view option. If you do want to go ahead and make transactions on your phone with your Ledger Live, which you can, you are required a Bluetooth ledger, which we don't really promote too much. I do have one myself because of convenience, but I usually don't take that to the public. In that case, I would recommend a second device. That is just my opinion. I don't know what you have to say to that, Tristan.
I may or may not also have a Bluetooth ledger. I use it for my phone though? No, not usually. I don't. I keep my crypto and my cell phone separate. I often find myself in dodgy kind of countries where getting your cell phone stolen is very common. So I just avoid that possibility at all times. I've had
Yeah,
many phones stolen, 0 laptops. So
yeah. Yeah, 100%. Russ says, okay, great. Yes, only checking, then to laptop for functions. Yeah, yeah, you'll be able to use it. I think that works. I don't think you should have any problems. As long as your phone doesn't have access to your actual ledger, you're good. If it's just for viewing, you should be good. But as we see crypto bubbles in the monthly doing very, very well, the AI narrative is picking up, as Tristan has mentioned. The weekly, all across the board, Pengu doing very, very well as well, picking up on the daily. We do see a lot of these meme tokens with the AI narrative picking up. I've been mentioning this these last couple of weeks that I've been noticing this trend of the meme tokens and AIs picking up. And then, of course, for the hourly, if we go ahead and take a look at the hourly all across the board, we see a little bit more neutral, nothing too crazy. But what are your thoughts? Have you been noticing that too, Tristan? I know you mentioned about the AI, but have you noticed that kind of trend starting to pick up these last couple of weeks with AI tokens and also the meme tokens?
yeah, because go back to the daily for a second. You can see that Pepe is up a whole 27.3%. Now, Pepe is not really AI; it's just a meme. But we have seen the AI agents, so like AI 16Z, AI XBT. The AI agent meme tokens have also been picking up, and they're kind
Exactly.
of like if you watched the last podcast we did, the AI agents, when it comes to the AI structure of investment, they're up at the top. They'll be the most volatile. They'll get the most hype. That doesn't necessarily mean that they're the best long-standing investment, but they will be definitely very popular.
Yeah, 100%. I definitely agree. If you take a look at the monthly right here, I'm trying to move these tokens. It's very slow to move them all together. But as you see, the meme tokens are and the AI tokens are the ones that really made a nice return this month. Virtual up 300%, Brett up almost 200, Whiff 100. We do also see Bonk at 98%, Floki at 89%. This one was getting heavily, heavily demolished, selling pressure. Now we do see this nice little almost recovery coming back up. Still down quite a bit, but it's good to go ahead and see this kind of these percentages. Trump up 64%, him pushing over that 1 point something million dollar dinner to have with him. So I think that's what really kicked off this narrative with the meme tokens. Like I mentioned, I think, and I was saying this last week that I think even if we do not see the market continue to go up further, I think we're okay. I think AI tokens and meme tokens are going to do their own thing. I could be wrong, but as I mentioned, it's a very typical thing during this time of the month and the year where meme coins and the higher riskier, narratives usually do their own thing. It's what they usually like to call this is like DeFi summer. I'm sure you probably heard that term thrown around a lot, Tristan, where, usually a lot of these, speculative narratives start to pick up on their own. I have mentioned in the past too that Bitcoin has a tendency to always sell around July, and it's always after like a situation kind of like similar what we're seeing where there's a lot of selling pressure. We start seeing some upward momentum, and then Bitcoin, hits some sort of resistance and then temporary cools down, and then usually starts to find its bottom between August and September. But during that time, believe it or not, a lot of the meme coins are the ones that become very successful. For example, Shiba Inu was created back in 2021 in July. Same thing happened to Pepe back in 2023. Pepe was created in between, I believe it was April 20th. So a lot of these big meme coins are usually during the time between spring and summer. So it's a very typical thing to happen. Usually by then we see Bitcoin kind of take a little bit of a dip. And as you see right here, August and September is usually where the bottom is in the market. And then we see Bitcoin rip. We've seen that since 21, 22, 23, 24, and this is 25. Maybe this time is different, but also keep in mind now that we have broken that resistance, and this is looking very, very positive to what we were talking about. You can see right here, I drew this. I was expecting some sort of a breakdown one more time to this $88,000 support. And I believe Tristan was also in the same belief with me, but it looks like $93,000 has now been it's now our new support. And hopefully we could go ahead and start to see this continuation to the upside. Hopefully maybe a move like this would be great, but maybe this time is different. Maybe we do not see Bitcoin top in July, right? We are in June, so we could actually see Bitcoin run up for one full month. And I don't know, man. I'm actually getting closer to believe we could actually even see Bitcoin at 120 leading to July. Because keep in mind, June is going to be Fed meeting, probably no rate cuts. But July, or you said June could possibly be rate cuts, right? Is that what the rumor is right now?
June has a chance. They're saying that June will be nothing at the moment.
Okay.
But July has a 50-50 chance.
And when does the Federal Reserve have to refinance the national debt?
Ooh, that one I think is just as summer is coming into the end in the fall. Could I give you a specific date? No.
I'm only asking because the only reason why I'm asking is because on the Fed meeting, if we go over to the Fed meeting, the next one is going to be July 29th to the 30th. So it's towards the end of July. So I don't know how that would work out. Like, let's say we need our deadline for refinancing is like the first 2 weeks of July. Like, does that really mean it kicks in instantly, or is it usually a delay? It's not something I don't know. I'm not too aware of. So that's why I figured I asked you. But that's where I kind of found it a little bit interesting. But I mean, we're really stuck between June up to September, I think. September being the latest they push it to. But I mean, that's already closer to Q4 too. So I think, in my opinion, would you agree that there should be some sort of rate cut, maybe the first one between June or July? And then our second one could be between maybe October or September. And that would finish the year very, very strong.
Yeah, like I was listening to Trump today. For all those who didn't hear, they made a trade deal with the UK. So it's not like a massive deal. It's not like it was with China or something. But it's still good news.
Pretty big deal, man.
But we'll take it. The market did react nicely to that. But what interesting point today is the Bank of England actually cut rates today. So
Nice.
some people are probably reading that as a precursor. So if China recently cut rates, the Bank of England cut rates today, Canada cut rates, the last rate decision it had, everyone's cutting rates except the United States right now.
Yeah.
So at some point, the Fed will be forced to, cut some rates here. But if the stock market starts ripping from here, then it's going to be a little bit... it's going to be another pressure on the Fed not to cut rates if the stock market is actually performing well. Whenever the stock market throws a temper tantrum, like it did during COVID or like just a few months ago, that's when there's a lot more calls on the Fed to cut rates. When things are going well, they kind of just do nothing.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting to see where things go. I mean, I think that was a pretty big news. I mean, I think right now any kind of good positive news, as long as it's not negative, is positive. So I know a lot of people are not saying that the whole entire UK deal is not too crazy or too important, but of course the market reacted positively, right? And of course that could be me. That could be with what you just mentioned right now. And the thing that I find it very funny too about talking about the whole entire thing with the UK and tariffs and things like that, with a deal that was being made with Trump's team. It was so funny because like the first thing that came to mind, I was like, Rolls Royce. I'm like, what company produces freaking cars out there? Rolls Royce, Bentleys, Aston Martin, Jaguars. I'm like, okay, this makes sense.
Yep.
The rich do not want to go ahead and pay crazy prices on their Rolls Royces, you know what I mean, or their Bentleys. So I found that quite interesting. Actually, even Trump actually even laughed about that. But for all of you that might not know, Rolls Royce is actually we use a lot of their engines on our planes too. So I think that's probably one of the main reasons why they're doing that. Probably also for military uses. I'm assuming they probably use the Rolls Royce engines too for military reasons as well. But yeah, I found that very, very interesting. Now, at least the positive thing to that is for anyone that is looking to get one of those kind of vehicles, now at least now you can get sold on the tariff talk, which is actually kind of funny because I've been eyeing some Jaguars for the last couple months. So now at least I have that leverage when now they can't be, oh yeah, 25% tariffs. No, that's BS. It's not going to happen. What do you mean? The deal just got cut, right? So I found that kind of interesting how this deal with the UK so happens to be with a lot of these luxury car manufacturers. So that's pretty interesting to see. Um, I don't think it's a coincidence. What do you think, man? I think it's a little bit of speculation right there, but I just found that very, very interesting.
No coincidence. But all the countries that are in close talks with the United States right now, they're countries that are like the UK that produces cars. They're countries like Germany, which has their luxury cars like Mercedes Benz and BMW. It's Japan with their cars. So anyone who's producing cars right now, they are in close talks with the US.
Yeah, 100%. Hopefully they could go ahead and work out a deal with that because I was talking about this a little bit more in my office hours yesterday after Let's Talk Crypto about how the U.S. measures the car auto sales as a measurement to see how the economy is doing. Usually, when not a lot of people are spending money on vehicles, it usually signals a sign of a weaker economy and people not willing to go ahead and spend that money on a vehicle when the market's uncertain, right? So interesting to be is that as soon as the year started, let's say Q1, and then that whole entire announcement about tariffs and things like that were being talked about, 25% on cars, that went ahead and caused a lot of panic. And a lot of people started running out and buying these vehicles. I mean, I've been in the market for a few vehicles these last couple months, and I've been patiently waiting. And then when I saw the tariffs, I was like, there's no way after waiting this long, now I have to deal with this. And a whole bunch of sales people were like reaching out to me, oh, buy now before the tariffs, buy now before the tariffs. And I was like, nah, I'm going to wait because nothing's set in place. You know what I mean? Nothing's set in place. Right now, it's like a rumor, kind of, if you really want to. There's really nothing like 100% that things are going into action, right? And a lot of these things too, you got to keep in mind and this is what my point is with vehicle sales, is that the 25% was supposed to be for imports, not for vehicles already on the lot. They already paid their import fees for vehicles in the lot. But a lot of these dealerships went ahead, I guess you could call it greed. Some of them did, some of them didn't, went ahead and already put their prices up 25% due to that whole entire talk. And that was a fear tactic they were pushing to a lot of people. So what a lot of consumers did is they're like, instead of waiting for rate cuts or waiting for something else to happen, let me buy now due to tariffs. I was very close, but I was like, no, I'm going to wait. I was like, regardless of the fact, nothing's set in place until it really gets done. If I have to pay more, it is what it is. And look at this. And deals are being worked on, right? So what I'm basically trying to say is that car sales actually did very, very well this last quarter than we ever had in the last couple months or years prior to the pandemic. Like the pandemic was really where the car market was taking off. And that's why we were seeing a lot of vehicles over MSRP. And now we started to see that a little bit more of that selling pressure like we saw during the pandemic in this last quarter. So it's pretty interesting to see. Car sales is probably going to have a really good earnings. I'm not sure if all of them have already had it, but they definitely had a really good Q1, right? So it's really interesting to see how things are going to go now moving forward, especially if a lot of these deals start to get cut up. How the auto industry is also going to be looked at when it comes to everything in the economy overall. Do you have any comments with that, Tristan, or have you noticed anything with that?
Quick comment today. Carvana, I think that's like a car sales company, big one in the US there.
Yeah, it's like a vending machine.
Yeah, they have the Carvana car sales dealerships. That stock is actually killing it today. It was, I think it's what is it on? Oh my God, look at those things. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
you put this giant coin, you put this giant like quarter they give you, and then it's like a vending machine that picks the vehicle. and then yeah, gets it down for you. It's pretty interesting, the concept. I know they were doing very bad these last couple of years, right? Like they were doing
Mhm.
very well in the pandemic, but then after that, it's like they were doing very bad. Same thing with CarMax and things like that.
Yeah, and only recently, like today, the stock was picking up. What is the let me find the ticker symbol here. Yeah, CVNA up 12% today.
Wow. CN, what is it?
CVNA.
Oh yeah, this thing has been ripping since April. Yep, since the whole entire talk about 25% tariffs, we do see that this stock has now gone up 51% in literally in a month.
Yep.
So you could definitely see that the fear of the consumers to the public definitely went ahead and spiked that up. And as I mentioned, the reason why a lot of this information is important is because a lot of this is related to traditional finance. And with traditional finance, this gives you an idea of how the overall economy and consumers are looking at this, which also gives us data to understand what is going on with traditional finance, which is related to cryptocurrency. So a lot of people have this misconception that it's just Bitcoin or like the technology or things getting approved. But in reality, there's a lot of economical factors that are very, very heavily reliant that a lot of people do not understand. And I think that's one of the biggest opportunities I would say for Tristan and I is that because we do have a little bit of that traditional finance knowledge, it's very easy to also understand what's going on with crypto and not freak out as much, right? Because it is a volatile market. But as you see, also Carvana, no surprisingly, they're in the Nasdaq, and we've been seeing the Nasdaq rip as well, right? And the Nasdaq is in the tech sector, and the Nasdaq moves close to Bitcoin, so you see the correlation between there, and why a lot of this traditional finance data is also very, very important, putting into perspective when it comes to what we're doing. But I do see a few questions right here. Russ, RWA and AI tokens quite popular right now. Yep. I'm really curious to see how RWA tokens are going to do moving forward after the whole entire thing with Mantra. I'm kind of heavily more reliant towards AI and AI agents. I really want to see who's going to be the next winner to pick up that up. Rumors are, and a lot of people from what I've been hearing, is Ondo. What are your thoughts with that, Tristan? Do you think with what happened with what is called I even forgot the mantra. Do you think that matters? Do you think people are a little bit shocked, or do you think RWAs are going to continue to do their thing, or there's going to be a pause?
I think there will definitely be a little bit of pause. They'll perform with the rest of the market, but I don't think they'll be the hot thing, this narrative anymore, especially because of the mantra thing.
Yeah.
I think if you look at Ondo right now, like that is the golden child of RWAs, and it's up, but it's not performing incredibly. Nothing like a virtual or all the AI tokens.
Yeah, exactly. I think one of the biggest things is that it's not too exciting for retail. Like if that makes
Yeah.
any sense, you know what I mean? It's like it might be exciting to you and I because we understand the technology and how important this is, and it's very important for like traditional finance and the older generation. But as far as like the younger generation, I don't think they really care about RWAs. You know what I mean? It's like I think we're like at a whole different like change in point of views when it comes to now being in this reality world where things like AI is more exciting, or even gaming. I'm not saying that it's not relevant. I'm just saying I do agree with Tristan that after this whole entire thing with Mantra, I think there's going to be a little bit more of a delay when it comes to RWAs for now. But I do agree that once the market starts to pick up once again, people are going to forget what happened to Mantra, and the market's going to rip once again and start picking up. But I do think this time we already saw that RWA's lead for a while. I mean, we saw this happening at around early November, even sooner, with a lot of the RWA hype coming up. So I don't think that they're going to be dead, but I do think that the ones that are going to be leading for the moment are going to be AI agents, and the meme tokens. That is what gets most people excited. And I think that's where the trend's going to be heading towards next. I do see a question with Vernon. Good to see you, man. What is your Bitcoin top target this cycle, John? By the way, it's good to finally catch you on live again. Good to see you, Vernon. Always good to see you, man. I think my personal opinion when it comes to Bitcoin, I mean, to be completely honest, guys, we could sit here and try to like dissect and exactly try to top where the top of Bitcoin is going to be. But let me just put it into this perspective because I don't know. And it's really all dependent into the market. Like once Bitcoin breaks 109, 1010, we start entering what is called a price discovery, a new price discovery. So it's really up to the market to decide how high that asset class goes. And this goes with any asset, crypto, stocks, gold, anything, car values. It's really up to the consumer to put that price. If they're willing to pay over a certain price and there's that continuation of buying pressure, it's going to continue to go up. So basically, what I'm trying to say is that for Bitcoin, I think the highest we could probably see, in my opinion, it's like between 150 to 250, and I think 250 being my max. What are your thoughts on that, Tristan?
Yeah, I find there'll probably be a bit of a resistance around that 120, 150, just because those are, psychological resistances as well. And on top of that, it depends on the bit of the financial system at the moment as well, because if the dollar is still sinking in its value, so the DXY, if that continues to go down, then people will be more willing to pay for an alternative like Bitcoin, like gold. So they kind of watch the dollar down, Bitcoin up.
Yeah, if we could really see the dollar loses support right here, we're literally getting to levels at around during the pandemic when the dollar was around this $90 range. So um, I've been saying this for a while now. It almost reminds me of the pandemic 2.0. And I think this time the scares is tariffs. This time is inflation. So I think, as I mentioned, even Southwest and a lot of these airlines are now seeing a decline in travel, which once again, as I mentioned, when consumers are spending less money, is usually not a good sign for the economy. So there's a lot of uncertainty in the market. And if we do continue to see these declines and we do start to see rate cuts, I do think we could be getting and seeing the kind of returns that we saw during the pandemic, where just things start to rip, right? So I'm very optimistic, but it just almost feels like a deja vu. I don't know what you think about that, Tristan. If you see some similar patterns with, of course, last time it was a virus, but I feel like this switch that we got into could be some sort of a black swan event, if you also want to call it. I mean, tariffs is a pretty big talk and a really big fear, I would say.
Yeah, you can all always chop it down just into emotions. During the pandemic, emotions were at all-time highs. Like it's nothing like a global pandemic to get you worried about something, and then you might make worried emotional decisions in your stock portfolio, and then you see the Nasdaq and S&P 500 down 20% in a week. So yeah, you can chop that all down to emotions, whether it's tariffs or global pandemics. But I'm quite bullish still this time around. Whereas the narrative during a pandemic, they could be the worst case scenario was the end of the world. It could have been we could have been looking at a Last of Us situation. But in this situation, a I don't think the economy is going to do bad for the United States. I think they'll be fine. I think the global economy will be largely fine. I think most people will cut deals in the end. And if they don't, then well, they'll probably just be mad at Trump for a little while, and they'll put someone else in power. So I'm not stressing.
100%. Chad right here went ahead and made a comment. He said Bitcoin 140 to 220 depends on how much Tristan and his friends are willing to pay to push the price up. Seriously, depends on how countries start collecting Bitcoin on a large scale. Yeah, 100%. I think it's, as I mentioned, I think 150 plus is 250. I would say like is the max. I know I've been hearing stories about like a million or like $400,000 or $500,000. It's
Not yet.
possible, but I really, really doubt it. And that's why like I also want to be realistic and not want to have a delusional mindset to this. But I think ultimate top, in my opinion, if I was to call a top for a price to be reached for Bitcoin, I think the max we could see is 250. I think anything above that will be like very, very difficult to go ahead and reach. And just like Chad mentioned, it just really depends on how really hard this narrative gets pushed. Because realistically, in order for the market to rip this quick, there has to be some very significant changes happening. And the biggest question that everyone has been saying is like, are we going to be having this extension in the market going into 2026? Now, I personally don't think so. But then again, if you look at it from this perspective, if we see, let's say, Bitcoin go to 150, and then we see like a very healthy correction. Like, let's just say that we see Bitcoin, hypothetically, let's just play around with some numbers. We do see this rip happen. Let's say we have this happening in the next coming months or maybe weeks, and we do see this 120, $120,000 range being reached before what we typically see, which is around that fall time. There could be a possibility that we could go ahead and see Bitcoin reach these levels, come down, and then retrace really, really heavily. And then if the narrative in the economy is still somewhat positive, we could definitely go ahead and see some sort of reversal just continue. And then maybe this is where retail starts to pick in. Like when we start to see retail interest really pick up at above $150,000. And I do believe there's a possibility we could see $200,000 being reached with no problem. But this to me like means that we have to either see a very massive push to the upside as far as change, or some sort of narrative changing so aggressively that people feel so aggressively bullish, or two, we do see that extension of what everyone believes to be 2026. What do you have to say about this, Tristan?
200,000 would be a major psychological barrier as well. Um, this is 100,000 was not this time around, last time around. I know last time around it took a little bit to get over 100K. This time more like butter, but 200,000 very difficult. And you could imagine a lot of selling pressure of. I think a lot of people bought around the $100,000 level as well, or are buying, especially now because $100,000 Bitcoin. But then once you get to a double, which would be 200,000, you'll have also a lot of people selling. So I think 200,000 it's difficult. I'm not saying it's impossible, but in the 1 to 1.5 years, I think 150,000, 120,000 is a lot more realistic.
Yeah, yeah. I think definitely this cycle we could get hit. And it just depends on what we talk about, like this cycle, right? Like I said, I really don't like to give out prices because no one knows the future. Like, you know what I mean? We could sit
No,
here and try to hit these numbers, but it's all dependent into what the market's willing to pay. And that's one of the biggest things. And I also want to put this into perspective for all of you guys. Even if we were to hit $200,000, this is only a 1x. This is only, you're only going to go ahead and, go ahead and get close to almost maybe even more above that, doubling your investment. Which the risk to reward ratio is, the risk is way too high for you to get a 1x return, right? So for me personally, and we're also seeing a shift in Bitcoin dominance, probably also shifting, which I want to talk a little bit about that. But I do see Chad saying right here, my feeling is if a country buys Bitcoin and people of that country may feel good about the investment if they are allowed. Yeah, I guess if an institutional interest really starts to push in very, very excessively, and we start to see, and we're seeing it actually, if you really take a step back, Tristan, and really take a look at what's going on right now with what we're having, we are seeing that ETFs are being pushed to as well with crypto.com. We're seeing a lot of aggressive crypto moves happening these last couple months that maybe we do get that extension. I think personally, we only have like less than a year left of this market before we start experiencing a bear market. What are your thoughts about this, man?
oh, you said the B word. Oh, yeah, I think like in my presentation that I had yesterday for Let's Talk Crypto, I went over that the state of New Hampshire in the US there has become the first state of all 50 states. There are 50 states, I think. I'm not American. But New Hampshire, first state in the United States to actually legalize the buying of Bitcoin at the government level. So the government of New Hampshire can now buy any crypto token that has a market cap higher than 500 billion. At this moment, that only means they can buy Bitcoin, because I still think Ethereum's like 200 billion, so they're a little shy of it right now. But you might see the state of New Hampshire leaving the race early, picking up a little bit of Bitcoin before some of the bigger states do. I think institutional buying from the government level, it's bound to happen here. So
Yeah,
Chad, you're right, I think, in your opinion there.
and we're seeing this with Arizona too. That happened, right? I wanted to before I go any further, Tristan, I wanted to ask you: are you good on time? I know you have office hours. I can't recall when. I'm not sure if it's in an hour or in a few minutes. Are we good on time, or do you have office hours very shortly?
I have office hours at 12:30, so as long as you give me
Okay, we're
5
good.
minutes,
Yeah,
as
we're
long
good.
as you give me
Okay,
5 minutes in between, I'm good.
yeah, no, we got still plenty of time. I just wanted to double check that we were good on time, because I think today we definitely have a lot more things to talk about than ever before, which is definitely what I wanted to go ahead and spend time on. But yeah, isn't Arizona also now allowing what is it called, the state to also go ahead and purchase crypto, I believe, or because I know you touched a little bit about this a few weeks ago. I can't recall. My brain forgets things very quickly.
Oh, good. And I did mention it. The state of Arizona, they had a bill on the floor for Bitcoin. The state went up to the governor. The governor vetoed it. Democrat governor, so they had to, the state. There's a majority Republican in the state of Arizona. I guess you could say Senate or whatever, Parliament. But the governor is a Democrat, so they have a little bit of negotiating that they always have to do. Uh, Governor shot it down. There's a new one that has been approved by the Senate of Arizona, again, going back to the governor. Hopefully she doesn't veto this one.
Yeah, so a lot of very positive things. I think if we could pick up with that kind of momentum, we could see higher prices than we all believe. Vernon says, "Are you longing Bitcoin, John?" I'm currently not. I was considering of opening a position and looking into it because we now do have this breakout. So I might look a little bit more into it and put a position. I know Tristan was positioning himself, if I'm not mistaken, ETH. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Did you take any
In
last couple of
in
weeks?
ETH?
I don't know any leverage positions.
Oh, no, not. I've been playing with it, but nothing serious. It's just been kind of hopping in and out. Just I took a small position on a short on PopCat last night.
How did
I
that go
closed
out?
that. I've closed that one pretty quickly. I took a small loss, but that was for educational purposes.
Yeah, I did see that. Yeah, Teresa says Pepe is fine. I mean, it's kind of crazy because we talked a little bit about this last couple of weeks. I mentioned how this double bottom pattern was forming, and we really wanted to go ahead and start to see that breakout. So we are hitting resistance. So, like as I mentioned, once again, we are seeing a lot of these cryptos now hitting the resistance level. So we could go ahead and see this breakout. This would ultimately be a confirmation for me personally to start looking into taking leverage positions. But I'm already well positioned on my spot meme coins. And the reason why I was heavily invested into meme coins these last couple of weeks, and actually I added more to my portfolio today, was because we talked about this actually yesterday with Let's Talk Crypto, I believe. And I mentioned that $2,200, once Ethereum starts to get above $2,200, we're going to start seeing meme tokens, tokens specifically just like Pepe, to start to see some upward momentum. Now, the question will be, same thing goes with Ethereum right here now that we're going to be experiencing. We're experiencing an area of resistance, which is selling pressure. So my really concern right now with a lot of these tokens, and my main priority right now for ETH, is I'm hoping to see this $2,200 area being reached once again. And this is where we're going to be seeing a lot of these meme coins and a lot of these altcoins start to take off. And one of the main reasons why is because a lot of tokens are on the Ethereum network. So this is really looking very, very positive. Ethereum's looking really, really good. Looks like Ethereum is finally also breaking out of this downtrend. As I mentioned yesterday, it looks like a possible inverse head and shoulders forming. But my key area that I really wanted to keep my eyes on is this $2,200 range. And I think now we could then confirm that the downtrend for Bitcoin, for Ethereum, is over, and the selling pressure is over, and we will start seeing that upside momentum to it. What are your thoughts about ETH, Tristan?
I'm actually quite bullish on ETH for once. I know I've said before that I'm quite the Solana fan, which I am. But ETH has been doing a little bit better. They actually did an update yesterday. What was it? It was the Pectra update, and basically when you went to go stake ETH before, the max you could stake on as an individual was 32 ETH. Now that max stake is up to 2,048 Ethereum. So the big difference there, and that was just to increase the overall efficiency of the Ethereum blockchain. I think the transaction times are supposed to be getting shorter now too. They want them to be more in line with the layer twos, so nothing more than like 12 seconds. However, I did go to do an Ethereum transaction today, and guess what my gas price was, John?
How much, man?
It was $23 for gas today.
No way. ETH?
I had a on ETH. I was trying to do a swap for some Pepe. I was trying to move some Pepe around on the Ethereum network, and I had a $23 gas price, so I just didn't do it.
I haven't seen those fees in over 6 months. Like, I literally been paying under like $1 for a lot of my transactions these last couple months. Like, literally going on to 6 months plus, I haven't paid no more than like $5 or $10. Like $10 being the max. $20 was back in November for me, but these last 6 months, I haven't really been paying that much, less than $10. And my last transactions have been about $1, and even some of them being 50 to 25 cents. So it's kind of crazy to see that upward momentum. That could, of course, be the buying pressure that is now coming in. Vernon is asking, are you playing with any leverage on any asset whatsoever? At the moment, currently, I'm not, just because I'm pretty packed with my schedule, and I do not have the time to sit and monitor position. I'm hoping that I can start getting back into leverage trading aggressively once we start to see this upside momentum in the market. Right now, I'm mostly holding on to spot because of the uncertainty of the market. There has been a lot of liquidations and a lot of squeezes happening that I would rather just kind of stay off. But my confirmation that I think I'm going to more than likely look into putting a leverage position would be in an asset class like ETH. I think $2,200, once I start to break that up and see that hold pretty well, that's going to be my personal confirmation to start looking into other positions. But yeah, I used to leverage trade like crazy. Vernon knows. I did some very crazy leverage trading a little bit a few years ago, 2 years ago. I had some crazy live leverage trading sessions. It was pretty intense. I kind of miss it, but I kind of don't, because it's very, very stressful for me. Teresa says, I have a long on ETH. Good, nice. Bet it's doing very, very well. I know you almost bought the bottom on that. Tristan, are you in any leverage positions yourself? You said no, right? At the moment?
Not at the moment. No, not at the moment.
Are you seeing anything yourself?
So I'm looking at Solana, looking at Sweet.
A position to leverage. Are you looking at any leverage positions to possibly leverage yourself?
At the moment, I'm looking at Solana, Sweet, ETH. So when I think about leverage, I try to avoid it most of the time. But if I am going to do it, I'm going to do it in the things that have, they're not going to disappear overnight. Meaning Solana, Sweet, ETH. Those are my blue chips. So at the moment, I'm kind of looking at that same ETH idea that Teresa and yourself have at that $2,200 level. If we can hold above that, then I'm more I am more bullish on ETH than I have been in a long time, and that's just because they are working on it.
Yeah, and it's actually a good confirmation to hear because I know Tristan and I have been very opposites, and that's what I like about the podcast that we have is that we could always agree to disagree, and it's interesting to see that. And that's what I like about Tristan is that he's not biased on like certain things. Like he doesn't just stick to, oh, this is what I like and it has to be this way. And I feel like a lot of traders and investors, specifically on YouTube, that's how they go ahead and put a lot of things into perspective, right? So I like the fact that Tristan sees the signs and he adopts, and he doesn't just stick to just one thing and he's single minded. And one of the biggest things that I always talked about in the future, or in the past, was I remember Tristan was very big on Solana, and I was positive on Solana, but I always mentioned ETH is going to come back. And then once Tristan started to see those signs, he started to agree. He's like, yeah, you know what? ETH is getting strength. And I think that's the biggest thing that I admire a lot about Tristan is that not because he believes in an asset class or a blockchain, he doesn't let his feelings get in the way into making decisions. And I think that's what we all have to consider when it comes to this space is that we're all here to make money. I really don't care whether I'm right or wrong. I'm here to make money. So as long as it makes me money, if you're telling me that I have to buy, XYZ token to make money and I might not believe in the blockchain or what they're doing, I'm buying to make money. You know what I mean? It's like I wasn't too big on AI tokens or AI agents these last 6 months. I see the opportunity. I'm with them now. You know what I mean? So, and that's how you have to be. You have to adopt to things in the market. So it's really good to go ahead and see that and hear that from Tristan because he is basically a Solana maxi now seeing the potential with ETH. But this goes on with what Verdon is saying. Do you believe Solana summer is coming, John? I personally think, I'm not going to say it's over for Solana, but I think we're going to be seeing an ETH season now. I think Solana really wrecked a lot of people when it came to the meme coins. Not saying Solana meme coins aren't going to do well. My Solana portfolio is wrecked on the meme coins. I did buy a little bit on the dip on those other tokens that I've had in the past, but my ETH-based meme coins are doing very, very well right now. And the reason why I believe we're going to be seeing an ETH season instead of a what is it called, a
Solana summer.
A Solana summer. I'm not saying we won't see Solana tokens rip. I do believe we will, but if we actually go to this platform called Artemis, which I've been talking about these last couple of weeks, if we actually go ahead and take a look at what has been going on with the inflows, we do see that the top inflows have been heavily based on Ethereum-based tokens. We see ETH at over 12, Arbitrum base, Sonic, Barachain, and then Solana has been slightly picking up these last couple months. If not actually these last, I would say last month, Solana has been picking up. And I think this is mostly due to the AI tokens, as Tristan mentioned. And this is where a lot of the, I think liquidity is also coming in. But I think, in my opinion, we're going to be seeing more of ETH tokens now kind of make that pivot, because ETH has definitely been struggling and has had this dominant shift that we've ever seen before. And I think that's where a lot of these meme tokens and also altcoins that are running on Base or even ETH in general are going to do very well. That's where we're seeing upward momentum in virtuals. Virtual is on the Base chain and it's an AI token. We're seeing upward momentum on the Base meme coins, KeyCat, Brett, which you guys saw earlier, almost up 200%. This is based off the fact that now we're seeing this upward momentum in ETH. And this is why I was betting on a lot of these tokens these last couple months, almost a year, because I believed that we were going to be seeing that strong dominance in ETH. Now, of course, it's a little bit too early to assume, but it's definitely looking like we are seeing that momentum in the ETH token. So I expect a lot of these tokens like Virtual, Degen, which is a layer 3, to start picking up in volume, and a lot of these base ETH meme coins or base ETH meme coins, I guess if you want to call them, that are on Coinbase. I think the other one's called Toshi that's listed on Coinbase. I think a lot of those tokens we're seeing an upward momentum due to the ETH dominance kind of picking up slightly, right? So if we could see this continuation with ETH, I think it's going to be a really good time for Ethereum tokens overall. But yeah, things are looking really good. I'm going to read a few questions, and let me go ahead and show one more article, and then I'll pass it on to Tristan. So what is this platform? Durabit? Is that how you pronounce it? I know this is a DeFi platform, right?
Yeah, I think I've heard of it.
Okay, so Coinbase buys Deribit, one of the biggest cryptos deals up to date. It looks like Coinbase has just announced that their deal with the crypto industry, which is one of the largest up to date. Deribit is a derivatives exchange, and they went ahead and bought that for $2.9 billion. So pretty interesting to go ahead and see how aggressive these moves Coinbase is doing. And this is one of the main reasons why I personally believe in Coinbase a lot and why I believe in the Base chain. Base is Coinbase's blockchain, and Coinbase, best believe, trust me on this one, Coinbase is going to do whatever it takes to take over not only the world, but mostly the US market. So they're going to do whatever it takes to have, I'm not sure if I want to say control, but the most
large market share.
Large market share compared to any other exchange, right? So, and I think Coinbase is really going to go ahead and ramp up their things. We're seeing it with Coinbase Wallet. We're seeing it with their Base token. And I think Coinbase is really, really trying to go ahead and continue to grab that retail interest on their platform. And they're actually looking to onboard more people into DeFi. So I think Coinbase is definitely going to do whatever it takes to win. And for that reason is why one of the biggest reasons why I believe in the Base chain and why I believe ETH is going to do very well, because Base is running on ETH. But I'm going to read two more comments, and you can start sharing what you have, Tristan. Chad says, I also experienced ETH high prices 1 or 2 weeks ago when they were flying up. I also waited till the next day. It was up 70%. Yeah, and things like that, I usually always wait. But I mostly deal with any kind of trades is mostly Base. Verdon says, yeah, for real, John, whales who were watching your stream try to liquidate you. Yeah.
Is there a story here?
I had whales stream sniping me and like shorting whenever I would be doing positions. So I stopped like live streaming my trades.
Oh my God. Like I back when I was a gamer, so that's a few years back now. We would go and, stream snipe guys in certain PC games. And I guess you can do that too in actual markets. Now you got real money on the line.
Yeah,
That's
man.
wild.
Vernon saw it live, man. There was like some crazy trades I was taking with 10, 20x leverage on meme coins, and like the trades were doing very, very well. And then I started to notice that as traction started to pick up on my channel, I started to go ahead and see, like, as soon as I would put a trade, someone would come in and short the market heavily, aggressively. And then that's when I started to find out. I think even someone commented like, oh, we're stream sniping you or something like that. So every trade I would take live, they would go ahead and do the opposite, and there would be whales coming in. And of course, my couple grand wasn't nothing compared to theirs with leverage, especially with meme coins. So I actually stopped live trading and taking live trades because I had people coming into my live stream just to go ahead and do the opposite of what I was doing, to purposely have me liquidated. And I lost so much money doing that that I was like, you know what? I'm never going to go ahead and tell you guys my trades. There's someone in here literally trying to liquidate me on purpose, and you guys have. So I stopped taking those live stream trades because of some whales watching my live streams as I was taking these live trades. And I love them. They were great because you were actually able to see my live trades, when I would take profits, when I would go ahead and enter. But once I started seeing people stream sniping me, I just stopped trading live because I was like, nope, I'm going to lose more money. But
I'm going to lose all my money now.
Yeah, and I did. Yeah, I actually did. So go ahead and share your screen with us, Tristan. I'm going to go ahead and run to the bathroom real quick. So go ahead and take over. I'll be back in about a minute.
All right, everybody. Welcome again. Here is my presentation for today. So yesterday we had the Fed meeting. Just give you a quick rundown. They did leave rates unchanged. They held them at the 4.2, 4.5% kind of range. We did speak about this a little bit already, but just to touch on it again, it's unlikely that we're going to see rate cuts next section either in June. It looks like they're just going to hold rate steady. We have a 92% chance at the moment of no rate cut happening in June, but we're really close to a 50-50 for July. So we could potentially see that 25 basis point cut come July, but hard to say because the Fed is dealing with a potential nightmare scenario, which is stagflation. For those who don't know, stagflation is an economic term for increasing inflation. So an economy that has high inflation, yet low growth at the same time. When you have these two, I guess you could say, economic factors, usually it's the same, they'll be in line. So if you have low growth, you'll have low inflation. If you have high growth, you'll have high inflation. But when they become off balanced, it becomes very difficult for the Fed because the Fed's most powerful tool in their arsenal is rate cuts. And if you cut rates, you're supposed to cut rates when the economy is trending down. It's not doing very strongly, but that rate cut will also drive up inflation. So if you already have high inflation, you're just going to make your situation even worse. So stagflation is the worst case scenario for all central banks. And we could potentially be seeing a stagflation scenario because tariffs, they create weakness in the economy. But it also makes goods more expensive. So you're creating weakness in the economy, creating some turbulence in the, I guess you would say, Main Street, small businesses, even big businesses like the auto manufacturers. So you do see a bit of a downtrend in the economy right now from tariffs. Not to say whether this is right or wrong to be using them, but you do see, a little bit of weakness in the economy, but you also see inflation. So these tariffs are creating a stagflation situation for the Fed, which is not ideal. So instead of doing something, the Fed is doing nothing. So I do understand that Jerome Powell has a lot on his plate right now. He has Trump obviously on his back saying, Jerome Powell is too late Powell. That is my nickname for him. He's too late Powell. That's exactly what he said in his address to the nation today as he was talking about the new UK trade deal. Like we touched on briefly as well here. Quick trade deal with the UK happened for the autos. Mostly because the UK produces a lot of luxury vehicles, and the United States is their biggest market for that. So they have to make sure that their autos, the UK auto manufacturers, are doing all right. So yeah, we did have that as well. Next in the news, I did mention this earlier. State of New Hampshire, first state in the United States to allow the government, so the state government, to buy Bitcoin or any other token with a more than 500 billion market cap, which is only Bitcoin. Also, we talked about this one. BTC dominance was at an all-time high, but it looks like it might also be trending down now at the moment as well. And that's a good sign for our hopeful alt season that we see. I think in July, if we get a rate cut, as well as move to quantitative easing. We've had quantitative tightening for a long time. If we can move to quantitative easing, a rate cut, and BTC dominance falling all at the same time, that is the perfect storm for a beautiful alt season. So watch the BTC dominance, and of course, you'll hear it from us as well as with whatever the Fed does. So you'll make sure to keep watching the podcasts and have that alarm bell rung. Also, Jon spoke about this briefly about he had calls in the Bitcoin mining companies. This is a specific story about the Hive Hive blockchain mining. This is a big one in Canada, actually, but it's listed on the NASDAQ as well. Hive has a market cap of slightly below $500 million. They recently acquired a miner that was in Paraguay. So that is a country in South America. And this country, Paraguay, has a ton of hydroelectricity. So they have large rivers that run through the country, and they've built dams on them. So it's actually one of the most, you can say it's one of the most prosperous countries in South America. And that's largely because they have very low cost of electricity. And you know what low cost of electricity does? It attracts Bitcoin miners. Because Bitcoin mining is essentially whoever has the lowest electricity cost is the winner. So when you're mining using hydropower, that's as close to zero as you could basically get. Hive acquired Bitfarms, which was a company operating out of Paraguay. Hive at the moment, stock is down 44% as of yesterday. It's probably taken a little pop up today, definitely, just because of the recent price action in Bitcoin. Actually, we can pull it up. Let's see here. Yeah, exactly. As I'd expect. Up 5% today on the Bitcoin pop. Still on the monthly, not bad, but the year to date, we're still a little bit down. So, Bitcoin miners are definitely more of a leveraged play on Bitcoin. A little bit more risky, but they can play out well. Also, I just wanted to go over a little bit of a market overview here. For stablecoins, you guys are all very familiar with them at this point. But just to put in perspective, Tether still is more than 60% of the entire stablecoin market. So although USDC is becoming more and more popular, Tether USDT still 66% of the market. Ethena USDE, newcomer as well. Only 2% of the market, but it's still the third largest, and then as well as DAI and FDUSD bringing up the rear. But we have so many stable coins out there now. We got USD1, we got USDY, my personal favorite. So also a market that is heating up as well. Stable coins, they just may not get that same level of global attention that meme coins will get, or AI tokens. But still lots of money to make in that space. Lots of great liquidity pools with stablecoins. Lots of great lending protocols using stablecoins, and they're usually more risk-free. So when we get to these high points in the market, so let's say we get to the $120,000 level again, or the $150,000 level, make sure to take some profits this time. Take a little bit out, move it to USDY, move it to USDC, put it in a lending protocol, put it in a stablecoin pool. It's still earning you money. And in bull markets, the yields are actually high in stablecoins because everyone is moving their money into the meme coins and the Bitcoin and the altcoins, because those are where they're going to get the most returns. But to make those stablecoin lending pools more attractive, they have to have higher yields again. So you're still actually making quite a bit of money in stablecoin pools during bull markets as well. I know Russ asked for this in the beginning of the stream. What decentralized platforms are we using for trading? Personally, I use Hyperliquid, but here are two other options as well. You have DYDX and Vertex protocol. I haven't tried DYDX. I've used Vertex. Not bad, but Hyperliquid is my favorite. Super easy to place any kind of leverage trade. It's like 3 clicks, connect your wallet, boom, you're done. Whereas if you're going to do leverage trading on Coinbase or Kraken, you got a whole bunch of articles that you have to do first, and you have to sign your life away, and you have to accept your risk. You're going to lose all this money. Whereas with Hyperliquid, it's 3 clicks, you're done. Do be careful though, whether you're doing it to short or whether you want to do a leverage long. You do have the risk of liquidation, and when you do get liquidated, you lose all your money. So be careful. But why I was highlighting perpetual platforms today is actually specifically because if we're going into a bull market, they're actually going to be the best performers as well. Because people are going to be moving to them, the people are going to be trading more on them, and they make money on volumes. Just like we were talking about with Coinbase, when people buy or sell, whether the market is going up or down, the volatility is where Coinbase makes its money. As with these perpetual platforms, same idea. The more money that is flowing through them, the higher the yields. So buying the actual tokens of these, so the HYPE token, the DYDX token, the VRTX token, I could present a good opportunity for growth. Whether you want to do a long position on them within the platform, I know if you can actually do leveraged trading with the HYPE token, but that's up to you. I just like doing spot. But yeah, I think that these decentralized exchanges will see a lot of growth going into the future. Just for reference, Hyperliquid, as of yesterday, was worth $7 billion market cap. Whereas Interactive Brokers is one of the largest stock brokerages in the world. So this is Interactive Brokerages is a pure stock market brokerage, and it is worth a market cap of 75 billion. So much larger than Hyperliquid's 7. But I think we'll start seeing in the long run a bit of a catch up. We'll start seeing the decentralized brokerages, especially if we ever get that. Market, so having equities, having stocks actually tokenized, trading 24/7, you'll actually see decentralized platforms like Hyperliquid gaining more market share than a centralized platform like Interactive Brokers, which is a lot more traditional. I'm not dishing on Interactive Brokers. This is what I use myself. Great platform. But I just think the decentralized ones have a lot more opportunity for growth really going forward. That's kind of all I wanted to cover today, Jon. Is there anything that you wanted to grab before we sign off here?
Nothing too crazy. I do see a few questions right here or a few comments. Let me go ahead and read those real quick. I know you have to get going. Vernon says, well, hopefully all of these analytics pay off so you guys can become millionaires this cycle. You definitely deserve it, in my opinion. Wish I would have been able to tune in for more of this golden information. Really appreciate you, Vernon. And I know you were doing really well this last cycle with the what is it called, Solana meme coins. I know you made quite a lot of money. I think you turned a couple $100 into a couple thousands of dollars. I think almost close to 6 figures. So good job on that, man. But yeah, let me know if how your journey is going with that. But really appreciate you as always, Vernon. Hope you do well as well, and you join us more often. Russ is not a fan of leverage trading anymore. Yeah, I can get a little tricky. Been there, done that. It is recorded. I'm not sure what that question was regarding to. Maybe
if you're referring to this podcast episode, it is recorded, so you can go back and look at it. It'll be in the live section.
Yeah, you guys will be. It might take a few minutes for it to fully process. But after we end the call in about 20 minutes, I believe, or 15, it should get fully processed, and you guys will be able to go back and rewatch this whole entire session. So make sure to go ahead and smash that like button. I did want to mention one last thing before Tristan has to get going in 5 minutes for his office hours. If any of you guys are in our private community, go ahead and join him there. Go ahead and check out Coin Tracker, which is one of our tax software, not ours, but our partners that we partnered up with the what is it called? Tax software company. So if you guys are interested for taxes for crypto and you need a platform to go ahead and track that, check out Coin Tracker and use code DM10 to go ahead and get 10% off at checkout. And yeah, with that being said, I hope all of you guys have an amazing day. I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Tristan to make this end. But I hope all of you guys have a great weekend, and definitely looking forward to what Friday and the weekend has to bring us.
Alrighty, everyone. Thanks for tuning in this week for this week's episode. I hope you're walking away with some clear strategies and insights to push your DeFi journey forward. Remember, DeFi is evolving fast, and staying ahead means taking action with the right knowledge. If you're ready to dive even deeper and build a roadmap to your own DeFi success, check out our DeFi Masterclass. The link is in the description below. In the training, you'll receive clear, hands-on instructions to maximize returns, manage risk, and truly make the most of what DeFi has to offer from our CEO, Tan. Make sure to hit like and subscribe, hit the notification bell so you don't miss next week's live episode. Until then, keep learning, keep growing, and I will see you right back here next week on Decentralized Masters. Talk to you later, everyone. Ciao.